All right. Good morning, ladies. Welcome to our Lift Your Life course. We are very excited to have you all here. And so I wanted to start off this course as I introduce what this course is all about. And there's a very nice story about many years ago, probably in the early 1920s, 30s. There were two young Chabad rabbis. One had just come from the old country and they had come to New York. And they went to visit somebody in Manhattan. And in those days, skyscrapers were still a relatively new phenomenon. Most people had not been on a plane before. And so as he's standing in this really, really high building and he's looking out at the window, he looks out the window and what does he see? Tiny people, tiny cars, tiny everything. And he's like, wow, from when you're up here, everything down there seems so small and insignificance. The entire world is so much smaller. And the point that he was trying to make is that when you can look at the world through that lens, which obviously we don't usually look at the world because we're really planted right down here, when you can see how I'm not going to say not important, but how some of the small stuff really isn't that important, it kind of broadens your perception of life. And it makes the important things, our purpose in the world, why we're down here, what we have to do in our lives, more important. And so the stronger our spiritual alignment is, the more insignificant some of the everyday nuisances or other things like that might I'm sorry, we just see someone else from the class. Oh, shit, she's not here. Um, some of the nuisances don't bother us as much. And so the premise of this course is built on a book called Sefer Yetzirah, which is, I believe, the earliest or one of the earliest known Kabbalistic works. And it is attributed to being written by our forefather Abraham. So we're going real way back, right? And what it talks about is that every single month in the Jewish calendar, we know we have 12 months in the Jewish calendar. Every month corresponds to a different behavior and emotion, different human behavior and emotion. And it kind of, each month kind of talks about and breaks down that specific behavior there. You know, for you ladies, I can happily pass it around just so you can see it. And so what we're going to be doing in this course is we're going to be covering 7 of these topics for the next 7 months. And so the first topic that we're going to be doing is the month of Kislev, because the Rosh Chodesh, the first day of Kislev, is in 2 days. We are finishing the month of Cheshvan now and entering the month of Kislev. And Kislev in this side of the heaven, in this side of the world, if you want to pass this around, you can. In this side of the world is associated with longer nights and shorter days, right? That's what this time of year is about. And so the month of Kislev is associated with sleep. And that is what our first topic, our first class, today's class, will be about. And just as a bonus, I know some of you like to hear words about Kabbalah, more about what it is. Some of you don't. So I'll just give like a quick 30-second blurb about it. And then any other questions, feel free to come back after class. Kabbalah, because I know many of you have heard it and sometimes people are confused about the context of it. Kabbalah literally means receive. It means to receive. Kabbalah is part of the oral Torah. We have the written Torah and the oral Torah. Kabbalah is part of the oral Torah that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai all those years ago. And basically what it is Jewish mysticism. We have many parts of the Torah. So we have the halacha, which is the Jewish law. That is what we call the heart of the Torah. And Kabbalah is called the soul of the Torah, because it talks about the inner meaning and the functioning of our divine service and how we relate to God. And the most prominent book, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, is called the Zohar. And the Zohar was written by a very famous sage called the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And later on, the Arizal, who lived in the 16th century in the city of Tzfat. For those of you who have been to Israel, you may know Tzfat is known as a very Kabbalistic city for this reason. He really revolutionized this holy book. And Hasidus, and the Tanya, which is the book of Hasidus, is based on Kabbalah, and it really brings it down into a way that you and I can understand on a much more level, because not all of us can understand these deep, mystical things. It's really taught in a way that we as humans in this world can understand. It's known as the spiritual light of the Torah. And as an FYI, always be careful about people who are claiming to be big Kabbalah people, because Kabbalah has a lot of farces out there. Most amulets, for example, are fake. Really, someone who comes from a true Torah source is someone you can really trust in the work of Kabbalah, just as a proper, authentic Jewish source, just as an FYI. Okay, let's get right into it. And this is where I want to hear from you. When do you think growth happens in your life? When do you think personal growth happens in your life? Right, but let's say, for example, you have a moment that teaches you a lesson. Does that moment give you the growth, or does later on, when you're processing, when do you think the growth really seeps in? Later? Why? Thank you. That was exactly the answer I was looking for. Because sometimes we have a big moment and it's like all encompassing. And then later on, when I have time to process and I have time to think about it and really like let it simmer inside me, that is when the true growth happens. And then we have another question. What do you appreciate more? The big gesture, it's your birthday and someone goes all out for you, or do you appreciate the everyday smaller moments, that everyday love and care that happens throughout life? Which one? I mean, obviously we want both because we're girls and we want both. But which one do you think is more important to you? The everyday. We have very wise women here. The everyday is what's most important to us, and we're going to discuss why that is. And it reminds me of, anybody ever watched Fiddler on the Roof? So Tevye asks his wife, "Do you love me?" And she's like, "What's love? I clean for you, I cook for you, I do your laundry with you, I do everything." Okay, so yes, I love you, right? She's saying, "I do all these acts of service, so it must mean that I love you." The everyday acts of love and care are more important because they show what a person really, really feels inside. And so we've all had days, at least I've had days, so I'm going to assume everybody else has too. We've all had days where you wake up and you're just like, right? Like, where's the meaning? Like, you ever woke up on a day on the wrong side of bed and you're just like, why do I even bother? Anybody? Okay, I'm impressed if you haven't. I will learn from you. And so the question is, why does that bother us? Why, as human beings, why as a human being do I need to feel purpose? Do I need to feel meaning? What about that purpose and meaning is important to me on a human level? And we're going to discuss that as we go through this lesson. So welcome to Lift Your Life. I'm very excited. This is the introduction to our beautiful lesson that we have. Um, and so talk a little bit about why we need purpose in our life. There are two Hebrew verses that really call out to me. The first one, it says, B'chol derechecha de'ehu, which literally means know him, God, in all of your ways. Not in the grand gestures. It's very special to know God when I come to shul, or when I light Shabbat candles, or when I don't pick another grand moment in life, or when I have my child's bar or bat mitzvah. It's very special to know God in that moment. Like I feel really connected to him then. But what does it say? Know him in all your ways. Know him in every single moment. And the second one that I really resonate with, it says, Kol ma'asecha l'shem shamayim. All of your deeds for the sake of heaven. Everything that I do, the mitzvahs, of course, but even the things that are regular, that don't feel like, that are not, the checkbox of mitzvahs that I do on an everyday level, those are also for God. In life, we don't just go from one optimal experience to the next. We don't just live in the photo moments that we see in the photo album when we go through them. Life is full of the in-betweens, right? That's what it's full of. And so the everyday small moments are where it really happens. And so I wanted to pass this around. I'm going to pass around these papers. You can take them first. And I'm going to hold it up for you ladies over there. And basically, it's titled Daily Habits. What are my routines and habits? You have morning, afternoon, and night. And you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I want you to just take 2 minutes and write down what you do every morning when you wake up. Do you get up? Do you go to the bathroom? Do you brush your teeth? Do you make a coffee? Do you walk your dog? Do you get dressed? What do you do in the afternoon? Do you do laundry? Do you take a walk? Do you cook dinner? What are the everyday habits that you do every single day? Don't worry, you don't have to share this. So it's just for you. When you're done, put down your pen so I just get an idea of how we're doing. Hmm. Okay. So as you ladies are finishing up, you might notice something, and correct me if I'm wrong. Most of your day is very routine. We all love, I mean, I love routine, but sometimes routine can get boring. It's like I say, every single day they want dinner. Every single day they come home and ask mom, what's for dinner? Like seriously. I'm like, come on. Like when did I become the dinner person? Every single day. And sometimes it gets really boring. Or every Friday, guess what? I gotta cook again at Shabbat. I'm bored of my menu. What do we do? Like every day we gotta do laundry. Every day we gotta get the kids dressed and ready for school. And every day we gotta cook dinner. And every day we gotta go to work. Sometimes it feels very boring. Is anyone with me? And it feels like we're just like thoughtlessly going through the motions, right? That's what it feels like sometimes. And so we have a choice in our lives to choose to make it thoughtless and boring, which sometimes it is. But then, for example, I can say, you know what, I'm bored, so I'm going to try a new recipe. Or I'm bored, I'm going to try changing things around, or I'm going to try introducing a new habit into my day. Or we can try to make it more meaningful. And that's what we're going to do in this course. Every time we're going to take a different topic of things that we go through in our regular lives, and we're going to see how the Torah talks about it and how I can take something that seems very boring and routine and make it more godly. And so we're going to talk about the concept of sleep. Sleep. I know, right? It's an interesting concept. There's many ways to approach it. So we're going to approach it one of those ways today. So there's a cute joke about a rabbi who's bringing a bunch of children into the synagogue to give them a little tour. And he says, "Children, why do we have to be quiet when we enter a synagogue?" So the kids go, "Because everybody's sleeping." Um, and so open our books. We're going to turn to page 2 to exercise 1.1. And I'd like you to list the benefits that a good night's sleep provides for you. You have the physical benefits, you have the page 2, yeah. You have the intellectual and emotional benefits, and you have the spiritual benefits. And then also, if you can list any challenges you have in achieving a good night's sleep, which I know is a struggle for many. Here, give me the book, Amelia. Okay, let me help you out. Yeah, keep turning. I will give everyone one more minute. All right, so as you ladies finish up, and feel free to keep going. So we hopefully, and I say hopefully, we hopefully spend about a third of our life sleeping. I say hopefully because not all of us get that third of our life sleeping, but that is the goal. We should be getting around an average about a third, 8 hours of our day should be in the sleeping cycle. And I say besides for that, we're always thinking about sleep. Am I gonna should I drink my coffee now? Because will I be able to sleep later? Should I be on my screen? No, they say to get off the blue light X amount of time before bed. And then you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be in bed and have to get up at 5 a.m. for my flight. And then, of course, you can't sleep because you're thinking about the flight. And so now you know how tired you're going to be tomorrow. So we spend a lot of our time hopefully sleeping, but we also spend our time thinking of sleep. We also spend a lot of our time thinking about sleep. So the big question is, why do we sleep? Why did God create us? Hey, here, come on over here. You want to join us for the class or? Oh, there's a chair here for you. Please come join us. You're not interrupting at all. Here's your book. Here's your pen for the book. And please come sit down. Why did God create us with this feature that we need sleep? Go ahead. Why? Because that gives us energy. Right, but God could have done it a different way. Let's get out of the box. Well, I can't get out of the boxes, but I don't know really how it happen. Right, but God's pretty amazing, right? But it gets dark. Maybe it gets dark and it's time to sleep. Okay, so that's true. Okay. Right? And so nature has allowed us to sleep when it gets dark because many moons ago or years ago, there was no people who lived in caves. And at night, they went to sleep. There was nothing else to do. There was no light. Okay, but hear me out for a second. Hear me out. Why did God have to create dark? Like let's really go out here. Like we're gonna like swim out of what we know in our human perception. Why did the concept of light come around? Obviously, we're going to talk about the reasons, but I want you to think about this. Why did the concept that people and also animals need rest? Why was it this way? And for example, and the fact that we need rest, right? But what meaning? Yes, but why couldn't he create us a different way? That's what we're going to discuss about life. You know, you remind me of when I was young. My mother's mother, my grandmother, was a Russian Jew, and you know, they don't have much patience for American teenagers who are like, why? Why? Because, you know, that's because. That's the way it is. But I want you to open it up a little bit. Why is the concept of resting and recharging? For example, if I have a new iPhone, when they get older, it's not so good. If I have a brand new iPhone and my phone dies, I plug it in. That thing's done in 10 minutes. Now it takes a little longer, but I'm saying, so how come this concept of rest? And we're gonna go into it. Cheryl, go ahead. Oh, Cheryl is the wise one. Okay. She was saying, remembering about neshamas and whatever. So, okay. So we're going to dive into that right now. You see, you just like segued right into the next part of my class. All right. So we're going to go to text number 1 on page 3. I'm going to read because I want to make sure the ladies on Zoom and the ladies who are going to hear the recording of this class on Zoom can hear it, because not always can we hear it from across the room. Text number 1, we read, the soul fills the body, and when a person sleeps, the soul ascends and draws life from above. And so what does this mean? On a very simple level, after a long day, the body is very tired and it needs time to switch off and recharge. But something else also happens. During this time when the body is asleep and recharging, the soul goes up. Now, what does that mean? We know that our soul is a divine spark. We have an actual piece of godliness that is in every single one of us. And it is a godly entity. And as a result, all our soul wants is to do whatever God wants. And guess what happened? It got stuck in our body in this physical world, because we know that we are put into this physical world, body and soul, for a specific purpose. We have a mission to fulfill. But it's not very easy for the soul. In fact, it's pretty hard because it's this godly entity. It really wants to do everything God wants. And what do? Eh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do this. And a whole day we're kind of beating down on our poor soul who really just wants to live in this glory of God. And the material world is kind of, it's not easy. Let's just put it that way. And so think of like a diver. What does a diver need to do when you go diving? What do? You put on an oxygen tank because you have to be able to breathe when you're in the bottom of the ocean. And what happens when your oxygen tank is running low? You got to come back up and put more oxygen in your tank because otherwise you can't breathe. And so the same thing happens here. A whole day, our godly soul is working. It's working in our body. It's trying to get us to do the right thing. And it's an exhausting job. And so by the time night comes, it's got to refill its oxygen tank. And so that's what happens at night. Our soul ascends up and it has that chance to really go up to its source. And we're going to turn to text number 2 on page number 4 in your books. And I'm going to read it. And then I know you're going to have questions, so just bear with me. We are breaking it all down. All right. So when a person, the Zohar writes, the Zohar, if you remember, was that book of Kabbalah we just talked about, written by the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The Zohar writes, when a person lies down to sleep, their soul departs and ascends on high. When the soul ascends, it does not entirely leave the body. A residue of it remains to sustain the body's life. While all souls ascend, not all are privileged to reach the level of beholding the divine countenance. The soul moves upward, desiring to ascend. If it is pure and has not been tainted during the day, it continues to ascend. But if it is not pure, it gets trapped along the way by negative spiritual forces and does not rise any higher. Sometimes these negative forces taunt the soul and show it false things. Thus, such a soul wanders throughout the night until the person awakens, at which point it returns to its place. For those people who have not been tainted, when they go to sleep, their souls ascend and rise through the heavenly levels without being trapped. It continues to ascend, following the path dictated by its degree of merit. The soul that merits to ascend experiences divine revelation and cleaves to it with great passion. It merits to see the pleasantness of God and visit his chamber. Go for it.
The questions about me.
I was waiting.
Does that have something to do with what you ascended?
All right, let's break it down. All right, thank you. I said you're going to have questions, so Lynn I figured that would be the first question that came up. I know my crowd. Okay. Um, okay, so we're told that sleep is like 1/60th of death. Okay, and so when we're sleeping, our soul goes on this journey. And the journey depends on how our day went, meaning how stuck in materiality, if that's a word, I don't know if it's a word, but you get my drift. How stuck in materiality of the world that it was, depending on how spiritually aligned my day was, will depend on how smoothly and high my soul can travel. And so to answer Lynn's question, all right, I will say this. This class is not about dreams, but just give me a second. We might have, and I'm getting to your answer in a minute. The soul might have some challenges on its journey, depending on how the day was. And so it might have some blockages. It might be a little bit slowed down, or it might have a smoother and easier ride. And it might meet negative forces on the way, which can give things like false visions, also known as nightmares. Nightmares, dreams, right? And then our soul wakes up in the morning and it is for sure somewhat recharged. And the recharge depends on how high our soul went during the night. Now, this course is not about dreams, but that is a whole other topic. But in general, it's very important to know that we should not give much credence to our dreams. Okay? Our dreams are just that, dreams, for the large part. Most of us are not on a level that our dreams mean something. Okay, let me rephrase it. I'm not even the word most. I would say 99.99% of us are not on the level where our dreams actually mean something. I will say one second, wait, one second, I'm getting there, okay? It's important to note, by the way, that our dreams are usually a reflection of what we were thinking about. That's true. But I think when we have, I've met people who say, I've had a bad dream, and that means it's going to happen.
Sometimes they're good dreams.
That also. But in general, it's not a good thing, nor does it mean what happens when we dream. It doesn't mean anything on real life. Go ahead.
But historically,
Mm-hmm.
we've all read about soothsayers and wise men who have read and have shared their predictions with others.
Right.
And the others tended to want to follow because they trusted this person who had the gift.
Okay, but how few and far between were those people?
How about you? Yeah.
Those were prophets.
Oh.
Any prophets at the table? I'm sorry? Joseph was a prophet. He was a prophet. Yes, he was.
About,
Okay. But last I checked, there's not really many prophets today. I mean, right. No, like I said, prophets, yes. But prophets, right. But most of us are not prophets. But I will say this, because this is like going to get totally off the tangent of the class. While it is an awesome discussion, I will recommend there's a really great reading at the end of this lesson in your book. It goes back and forth. What usually comes up is people say, sometimes I have a scary dream. And I think it's going to come true, right? Have anybody ever had that, where they had a dream that really concerned them? No?
Yeah.
Okay, I see some people shaking their heads. I'm like, maybe it was just me. Sorry?
My dream to make sure it's okay.
And thank God he was. Okay. Generally, we don't attribute anything to dreams. Okay, that's generally. Let's just leave it at this. There was a whole class about dreams, I think, a few years ago in the JLI. But as a general rule, and I've kept this and I really worked hard to make it on myself, I said, when you're an anxious person, you just say, dreams don't mean anything, because they truly don't. They are usually 99% a reflection of what you're thinking about. There's a really great story, I think, of a Roman Caesar who asked a very great sage, what will I dream about tonight? And he's, you're going to dream of the Persians coming and enslaving you in golden chains. And guess what? All day he thought about his enemies enslaving him in gold chains. And guess what happened that night? He dreamt about being enslaved in gold chains. Generally, what we're thinking about is what we dream about. And also, by the way, it can also explain if one is having dreams that concern them. There are many reasons that can happen, but one of them might mean that we have to look at our day and see how spiritually in line with our soul that is, and maybe that's something I can improve upon and see if that helps. Just putting it out there, please.
When you're sleeping, are you losing consciousness when you sleep?
I would believe we are, aren't we? You're only when you're woken up, your consciousness comes back. But look at a person who's sleeping. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Okay. But I highly recommend, just for interest's sake, at the end of the lesson, we always have additional reading. So it's very interesting to read over there. If anybody wants at the end of class, I highly recommend you enjoy that. Okay. And so when we wake up in the morning, it's a gift. Unfortunately, not everybody wakes up in the morning, right? And so when my soul comes back into my body, I got a gift. And so what do? I open my eyes, and what is the first thing I say? Who was with me last year in our course? Moda'ani. Thank you, God, right? That's the first thing we say upon waking up. The first thing we say, Moda'ani, blessed are you. God, thank you so much for giving my soul back to me. I am so grateful for that. And so, but we still have the same question, which Lynn says it's not a question, but I still have the question when I'm trying to think out the box. Why do we need sleep? And the question is, why do we not just need sleep? Like, actually, I could take a 10-minute break and boom, I'm good to go, We need a lot of sleep. Why were we set up this way? Even science doesn't have the answer. Science knows what happened to us while we sleep. We know the important things. Our body releases toxins, all the good stuff. But why do we need sleep? In fact, the sleep researcher once said, if sleep doesn't serve an absolutely vital function, it is the greatest mistake evolution ever made. Okay? Because we know the benefits of sleep. Our body rests, it recharges, it processes, children grow in their sleep. All that we know all the benefits of sleep. And as science and technology move on, we know how important sleep is. But from an evolution standpoint, it's really dangerous. When you're sleeping, you need shelter. You're not protected against predators, right? Think about when people are in a group and your house has to be locked. Think of soldiers who are stationed in Gaza right now. Guess what? Someone's got to be on watch the whole night while everybody else takes turns sleeping. Sleeping it's a danger. It's not the safest thing. And it makes us very, very vulnerable. And it's kind of like a liability. And so Jewish thinkers also explore why this topic of sleep and why we need it. And also, if you think about it, sleep seems to compromise the Jewish concept of productivity because we know that we're in this world to fulfill a purpose. But guess what? While I'm sleeping, am I fulfilling my purpose?
Yes.
Why? Ah, okay. We're going to talk about. Okay, yes, but that's because we need sleep. But if you didn't need sleep, are you with me? Is everyone getting like my question? I'm trying to go okay, I like that. We're going to break into that. All right, turn to page 3. I'm sorry, turn to page 5. Text number 3. Lynn always has the best comments. That's what I love about Lynn. All right, it says here, human beings are born to toil. That is what the Torah tells us. Human beings are born to toil. So we know that toil is work. It is part of our human existence. It's part of what makes us human. That's why we need purpose. That's why we need meaning, because it is literally what makes us human. And the Talmud actually breaks down what toil is. There's 3 categories of toil. One of them is physical action, where it's acts of kindness, working for pay, and taking care of daily responsibilities for ourselves, for our family. Then we have speech, where we communicate, where we teach, where we pray. Those are all kinds of work. And the third kind is where we intellectual pursuits, where we learn, where we study, specifically Torah. So those are all kinds of work, kinds of toil that the Torah gives examples of. And the thing is, those things don't get done while I am asleep. They might be refreshing me to continue tomorrow, but while I'm sleeping, I'm not fulfilling my mission. Okay, but at that moment, I'm sleeping. And we're even taught that God created the concept of night, of darkness, for the purpose of sleep. So that when it gets dark, our bodies, the whole circadian rhythm and all that, right? It goes to go out in the morning, get a certain amount of sunlight. Everyone trying to do that these days. It's like very, very, very in these days. When you get up in the morning, go out and get some sunlight. So part of it is that when night hits, our body signals us now it is time to sleep. And so the question is, why is our human model created with this quote unquote deficits? And we're now, I think, going to really tie into what all of you were just saying. On page 5, there's a question that says, imagine for a moment that you did not need any sleep to function, that you could live your entire life awake and never get tired. How might you describe a life with no sleep? Okay, Sherry says hell. Okay. You'd be like a robot, like a machine. Exactly. Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
Well, it's like Shabbos, kind of. I think when people don't observe Shabbos and you have that one day, or whatever, they can't believe that you do that. So it's monotonous.
It's boring.
Mhm.
Also, as a parent, I gotta say, I need bedtime every night. I mean, I love my children, but bedtime is a very, very big time in our household when you can just like take a deep breath, right? And I think think about your work day, we all need that time to like decompress. Thank you. That's a good word I'm looking for. And so basically we learned that any perpetual pleasure is not pleasure anymore. If you're having something nice that just doesn't end, at some point it becomes boring and not enjoyable anymore. Also, it makes our enthusiasm, it makes our excitement for doing things. It kind of takes that away because if you're always doing, you kind of get burnt out, right? And we know that life without pause, without a break, it sounds really, really hard. It sounds exhausting, but if we didn't have exhaustion in the picture, it sounds really, really, really hard. And so we learn that sleep brings that break in our action. And so that loss of consciousness, when we go to sleep and we lose our consciousness, that disconnect that we get right then and there, that is what we need to come back refreshed. And so we talk that sleep is a 1/60th of death. It is the closest thing that a healthy body has to death. And when we wake up in the morning, it is the closest thing a healthy body has to being reborn. And so it gives us an opportunity for newness, for freshness, for vigor, for all the words that we can use in that category. And we wake up every day refreshed. And the Shulchan Aruch, which is the Code of Jewish Law, the Code of Jewish Law is a book that tells us every single thing we need to do to live our lives as Torah Jews. It says we should wake up like a lion. Wake up like a lion. Wake up ready to roar, ready to like start our day and really like go at it. I don't know. You should meet my toddler. My toddler wakes up like a lion. We're like, who could use some of that energy in the morning? We're all like, huh? And she's like, you get dressed. And we're like, so it's something to work towards. It's something to work towards. There are those, some people are morning people. And we appreciate them in our world. And so the idea of freshness and a blank and a fresh new slate is actually talked about in one of our morning blessings. So for those who were with us last year during our course, you remember how we talked about prayer and we went through the whole ladder of prayer. But in the morning, the first thing we do, we say Moda'ani, and then there's a set of prayers where we thank God for the basic things that we have. Thank you for my sight. Thank you for all the basic things that we have. And one of them is called the Asher Yatzar prayer. And it's text number 4 in your book on page 6. And I'm going to read it in English. And I find this to be a very, very real blessing, because if you think about what it's saying, I really resonate with it. It said, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has formed the human being with wisdom and created within the human being numerous orifices and cavities. It is revealed and known before your throne of glory that if but one of them were to be blocked, or if one of them were to be opened, it would be impossible to exist even for a short while. Blessed are you, Lord, who heals all flesh and performs wonders." Okay, thank God we are blessed with a human body. And all of us can say, when one thing isn't working, it's not going well. Okay? And if God forbid, imagine we had other things that would open up in other places, also disaster. So this really, it's like when you read it, it's like, this really resonates. Like it's, go to the bathroom every day. What a miracle. Think about it. Like the fact that, right, but it's a miracle for every person. You feel the miracle when it doesn't work so well, right? But it is a miracle for everybody. The fact that God created our bodies to be able to do such a thing, like, wow. And so every morning we wake up and we say that, like, thank you. And the wonder that is that blessing. And so when we look at our body, it's not that, oh, I was born 50, 60 years ago and thank you for giving me my body back then. But no, today, thank you for giving me that body with all of the amazing things that it can do, because I am celebrating the creation of my body with wisdom from a new place. Because last night I had a mini death and today I had a mini rebirth. And so I'm celebrating that. And if we go to text number 5 on page 6, we write, it is customary, we read, it is customary to recite every morning the Asher Yatzar blessing. Every day, a person becomes a new creation. Therefore, it is appropriate to recite daily the blessing who has formed the human being with wisdom. Any questions or comments so far, by the way, Louise? Asher Yatzar, yes, it is. Well, it's with wisdom, I think. Yatzar, I believe. Hold on, I'm looking here. With wisdom, I think Asher Yatzar is with wisdom, but I can get back to you for sure. But I believe that's what it is. Yeah, yes. So sleep gives us that opportunity to really start fresh as a new person. We leave yesterday behind, and today I'm fresh and I'm new. And if we go to text number 6 on page number 7, go ahead, please. We're going to talk more about that. No, okay, let me rephrase. We don't leave it like behind as if it never existed. What we say is, today I have a new lease. Is that a better way of saying it? And we're actually going to dig a little bit deeper into that in a few minutes. So thank you, Lynn. Text number 6, we're on page 7. The Rebbe writes, once a person has become accustomed to a specific pattern of behavior, one must strive to reach a new and higher peak. This new dimension of service is reflected in the fact that each day one's activity is interrupted through sleeping, and one awakens the next morning as a new creation. Were a person to continue the study of Torah and fulfillment of mitzvot without interruption, this newness would not be perceived. Because one's service would be constant, any increase would follow a natural and gradual progression rather than as a radical change. And so this teaches us a very important lesson. What was good yesterday is not good enough today. I have to be better than yesterday. Every day I have to be growing, which again is not always easy. Go ahead. 1 minute. Guilt is not a healthy emotion, by the way. We're going to talk about that. You're saying, well, now I'm going to beat myself up the fact that I wasn't better today than I was yesterday? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that, because that, by the way, that's what we call our Yetzer Hara. That's our animal soul kind of getting in the way. Our evil inclination.
Is it the question?
Where are you? Where are you?
It's already what you read.
Text number 6.
Yeah.
The Rebbe. This is something the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says. Yeah, they always write it. They write no. This is written in Hebrew. It's always written and then translated. It's Hebrew. I'm reading. No, this is in Hebrew.
That's what you're reading.
Yeah, but it's written in Hebrew. Yes. Sometimes it's in Yiddish, but in this case, it's in Hebrew. And so we have this work towards that I'm going to try to improve on yesterday. And if guilt comes in the way, we're going to try to work on that too. We're going to talk about that. And so we say, I'm not going to use yesterday's mistakes because we all make mistakes. We're human, right? I'm going to try my best not to use yesterday's mistakes to hold me back. I'm going to take today as a new day, and I'm going to try to do better. So the question is, how do I get the most out of my sleep? Because sleep is an unconscious state. So how can I make how can I improve an unconscious state? I'm not aware of it when I'm in it, right? Like, how do I make my sleep better so that my whole night and my soul ascending can be better, so that my tomorrow can be better? And how do I make it more peaceful and more refreshing and more spiritually charged? So we already know that the more spiritually in tuned my day is, the more spiritually in tune my night will be. And so I can make my day as best as I can. Obviously, we're all works in progress. I can make my day as try as best as I can to, number one, do as many mitzvot as I can. But even in my regular daily routine, try to do it in a way that I know it's my mission. And we can talk about specifics of that soon. And we have a nighttime ritual that we can do. In Hebrew, it's called the Kriya Shema Shel Hamita, which we're going to talk about now. It is the bedtime Shema that we say before bed. Because we need to prepare for sleep. Hello. You looking for someone? Can I help you? It is Chabad. Come on in. We do not have a restaurant. I'm sorry. That would be nice, right?
Yeah.
Go for it. Yes. Oh, Lynn, wait. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Okay, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. All right. Okay. All right. Where are we? Okay. So I love how Lynn always has the question that we're transitioning to. She follows my flow. It's like, you know. And so we need to prepare for sleep in a way that fuels our sleep and prepares us for the following day. Because think about it this, wherever you put your head at night, that's where you're going to find your head in the morning. Okay, it's not just literally, if you put your head on your pillow, you're probably going to find it on the pillow the next day. It's not, unless you're a major sleepwalker. But it's also a state of mind. If I go to bed beating myself up, or if I go to bed very angry at someone, I might very well wake up feeling that way. Maybe not you, but maybe other people. And you can fill any emotion in. I gave you 2 emotions, but you can fill any emotion in, and everyone has their own thing that they can fill in the blank. And so if it says, if you go to bed like a horse, don't expect to wake up like a lion. It's just not going to work. All right. Make sure you go to bed like a lion. What does that mean? Know before who you stand. Who do we stand before? God. Know what God wants from me. And when I have that mindset in my mind and I go to bed with that mindset, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that mindset in a minute, then I will wake up in that mindset. Or I know that God put me here for a reason, and I'm going to continue refreshed on the mission that he gave me. And so the first step that we can do here is that we can fill our day with goodness. Because, we have to feel for our soul. We have to feel for it. We have to protect it. It doesn't have a very easy job. And so it's not a very easy thing to be stuck in this physical body, in this physical world. And so the more our soul can retain its true integrity, the higher and smoother its journey will be tonight when I go to sleep. Does anyone have any questions so far or comments? Ladies over there, I can't see you so well. Sheila, Lois, Esther, everyone good so far? I see you so well. Okay, well, we'll take more questions soon. And that includes Torah study, because if you bring the thoughts with you when you go to bed, and you have that in your mind, it's going to help tonight go a lot better. Because we know how our mind works. What you dream about, I'm sorry, what you think about during the day is usually what you're going to dream about at night. I'm laughing. There's a very silly example, but you ladies will get it. I said, my husband, for those who were here, my husband was away last weekend. He went to the rabbi's convention in New York. And so I always make some food for the kiddish, and I usually send it to him. Like when he goes to shul on Friday, I send it with him. So he puts it in the fridge, and the ladies who come the next morning know what to do with it. But I just didn't get around. The house was a little crazy with all the kids. I didn't get around to driving over before Shabbat. So I said, I'll bring it with me on the bottom of the stroller on Saturday morning, but I don't have a phone to remind me. So I'm like, oh gosh, I hope I don't forget because it's not my usual routine. And so what happens? Guess what I dreamt about? I dreamt that I came to shul, and not only did I forget all the stuff at home, they didn't set up the kiddush. I come and the place is empty and people are waiting and there's no food, right? Because what you think about by day, don't worry, I remembered it, I brought it. But it's a very silly example, and we can all have these funny stories where we always think, imagine, when you're planning a wedding and you imagine you showed up and the caterer never came because you forgot to book the caterer and your dress is the wrong color. Right? We've all had these dreams, right? Where you're like, when you're preparing for something, and then that's what we think about. That's what we think during the day usually happens at night. And so when we set up our minds and our mindsets in a more spiritually aligned way, that will help our soul on its nighttime journey. And so let's talk about this bedtime ritual that we just introduced. So the first step in that bedtime ritual is forgiveness. Forgiveness. All right, think of someone who you're holding a grudge against. How does it make you feel? Angry. Oh, right? I am angry. I am holding a grudge. I am upset. Who do you think's hurting more, you or them? Well, you're like, they probably don't even know because they just don't know. And that's why I'm even angrier, right? Who feels worse? You feel worse. Even though you didn't do the wrong thing, the person who is holding a grudge feels way worse. And so you're hurting the most. And what is holding you back from letting go? Okay. Now, again, we're only talking about run-of-the-mill things. When there's really big stuff, that's another whole discussion. But we're talking about the regular run-of-the-mill. Your friend said the wrong thing, your kid did the wrong thing, your husband looked at you the wrong way, whatever it may be, okay? The regular, he just it was scripted. I did not know he was there. Okay, we planned timing here. The regular everyday grudges, they're hurting me more than they're hurting the person who did it to me. I mean, let's be realistic. They say, what is holding a grudge is like banging your head against the wall and hoping the person who you're angry at feels it. That's how ridiculous it is. And so sleeping is a journey. And so the less baggage you bring into the sleep, the lighter and more easy and refreshed your sleep will be. Now, Judaism has a whole, let's say, protocol for asking forgiveness. And there's a whole setup for this. This is not what we're saying here. We're saying is what's going to benefit me. It'll benefit me to kind of let go of my grudge. Now, it might not be I forgive them, but it might mean, I don't wish them any harm. I'm going to let this be. I'm gonna try to let it go, whatever and however you may do it. It may not be that it's, everything's hunky dory and you're going to buy them flowers tomorrow, but it might be that you just are putting it down, which is also a step in the right direction. And that will help us have a lighter baggage count, so to say, when we're on our journey of sleep. And so we're going to look at a part of the Shema prayer. And I want you ladies to know there actually is a few pages of this bedtime ritual that many people say before they go to bed. I'm not going to talk about most of it tonight. I'm actually going to give you a part of it, but it's something that you can know about. And if it's ever something you want to explore, I'm happy to show it to you. And I want you to know that it exists. So if you go to page 7, if you go to text 7 on page 8, we start off this bedtime ritual with this prayer. And it says, Master of the universe, I hereby forgive anyone who has angered or vexed me or sinned against me, either physically or financially, against my honor or against anything else that belongs to me, whether accidentally or intentionally, inadvertently or deliberately, by speech or by deed. That is how we start off our bedtime Shema routine. Okay? Because when I let go of that grudge, when I forgive, what does it do? It brings me inner peace. They still have their thing to do. They still have to apologize to me. They still have their thing to do, but right now I feel a little bit better because I have brought inner peace unto myself. And forgiving forgiving helps us obviously with that inner peace, but it helps us move on with our life. And there's a very interesting story that I actually have on video and I want to show it to you. So if you can put your attention to the big screen, and we're going to hope that Shayna figures this out. So give me a second. I think I feel like it's this. Let's see, share. Hold on, ladies. Give me a second while I move out of the way. Ah, okay. It's okay. Yeah. Oh, it's not 1 second. Why isn't it working? Come on. Maybe if I make the screen smaller. In ancient times, Jewish studies it's not working. Oh, no, it's no the internet's not working. No, no. Okay, well, let's try. Hold on. Share sound.
Disputes and teaching Torah. In ancient times, Jewish sages sat at city gates, answering questions, resolving disputes, and teaching Torah. The Zohar relates that a 2nd century sage, Rabbi Abba, was at the gates of Lod when he saw an approaching traveler. The fellow stopped under a tree on the edge of a steep embankment and lay down for a nap. As he slept, a venomous snake darted towards him, but a branch snapped loose and fell, crushing the snake. The man was jolted awake. Seeing the dead snake, he leapt to his feet and hurried away. He'd only gone a few feet when the ground he'd been lying on gave way, crumbling into the embankment with a rumble and a cloud of dust.
Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna start the story again.
On the edge of a steep embankment and lay down for a nap. As he slept, a venomous snake darted towards him, but a branch snapped loose and fell, crushing the snake. The man was jolted awake. Seeing the dead snake, he leapt to his feet and hurried away. He'd only gone a few feet when the ground he'd been lying on gave way, crumbling into the embankment with a rumble and a cloud of dust. Rabbi Abba was...
We're going to give us one more minute and then I'm just going to tell it to you. And I'll send it to you later. It doesn't seem to be... Okay. All right, ladies, it doesn't seem to be cooperating today, so I'll read it to you from my book, okay? So Rabbi Abba Rano, basically the story is that there was a great sage. It used to be in the olden days, they would sit at the gates of cities and they would answer questions and teach Torah. And he sees a traveler coming and the traveler goes to take a little nap. Okay. And so he sees the man lays down to take a nap. And while he's sleeping, a poisonous snake goes near him, and a branch falls off the tree and falls on him and kills the snake. And then the man jumps up from that noise, and then he runs away when he sees the snake. And then the ground that was near him like kind of opens up. And so Rabbi Abba goes to this gentleman and he says, "Wow, you just had 2 miracles that saved your life. What have you done in your life to merit such a thing?" And he says, "All my days, never have I forgiven and made up with forgiven and made up with anyone who wronged me. Furthermore, if I was not able to make up with him that day, I would not get into my bed until I had forgiven him, along with anyone else who might have wronged me. Once I had forgiven them, I was never concerned for the rest of my life about whatever wrong they had done to me. And not only that, but from that day on, I would try to do favors for those people so that they should not think that I hate them." That's impressive, right? And so we see here that such a character was saved from this. Was such a special thing that this person did, and that explained why he had been saved, had been saved by God from this. So just like we said, when we said in the beginning of the lesson, the story of the skyscraper, when I'm able to, when you're in the plane, right, and you're looking down, everything's so small, everything is so insignificant. And we realize that the little things, they really are just that. They're little things, even though usually they feel like big things. And so when we're able to kind of let go, that brings that inner peace, and that hopefully helps make our nighttime journey much, much smoother. And then after we forgive other people, guess what we have to do? We have to forgive ourselves. Very, very good. We need to forgive ourselves, and that's another part of this Shema ritual. And what we do is it's now time to review our day. Where did I go well? Where did I not go so well? What can I do to improve? That is something that's a very important thing that we can do every night. It takes 3 minutes. And it's something you can do in your head or you can write down on your phone. And it's interesting, something that I started doing with my kids a few years ago. I'm not great about it. We aim for every night. Sometimes they're better than others, we're just going to say, is around the dinner table or around that time of day, I ask my kids, can you tell me 3 nice things that you're proud of today? And I try my best to write it on my phone. I keep it like one of my notes is like things I'm proud of, and I write down the child and what they're telling me, because then we get to go back on a week and say, oh, on Monday I did this, Tuesday, and it might be simple as I didn't hit my friend when they were mean to me. Yes, you should be very proud of that, right? Or I shared my pasta with my baby sister. Yeah, great. Or I like dinner, like little things like that, because what it does is it puts our mindsets into gratitude mode. And it also helps us see ourselves. It's things that you're proud of. What did you do today that made you proud? For children, that's very important. But it could be something even for yourself. What did I do today that I'm happy about, that went well for me? And then on the other end, what are some things that I can do to improve? And this is a very good thing to try to do on a daily basis, to really kind of keep, it's called a cheshbon nefesh, where we keep a daily reckoning. We don't confess, in Judaism, we don't confess to other people, we confess to God. And so it's a very important thing to do every day, where we kind of get into that mindset. Because we know that our soul is going to ascend on high, and it's going to give an accounting of what it did that day, and it's also going to learn Torah. And so we want our soul to have a smooth pathway, and be pure to be able to do that. And so we have to leave behind our ego and our hypocrisy and our anger and our guilt, because guilt is also one of those emotions that seem righteous, but actually don't serve us well at all. Now, again, these are all things we struggle with. We all feel guilt. I mean, who doesn't? We're human and we're Jewish mothers, so forget it. We're done either way. But that is something that we can work on and say, you know what? Let's say I yelled at my child today, or I wasn't nice to my daughter, or I wasn't nice, or I did something not so great with one of my friends, or whatever, you fill in the blank. And you know what? I'm going to aim to be kind to that person tomorrow. I'm going to try to do one thing that tells them how important they are in my life tomorrow. And that kind of does is it takes guilt out of the equation, because I saw what I did. I know I'm human. I'm imperfect, but this is how I'm going to improve tomorrow. I have one thing that I'm going to do that I'm going to improve tomorrow. And that's it. It's doable because it's one small thing, or however it is, you fill in the blanks. And so if we look at text number 8 on page number 9, the Zohar says, each and every night before one goes to sleep, one should make an accounting of all the deeds they did that day. One should repent and ask for mercy. And then if you go to text number 9 on page number 9, part of the Shema bedtime ritual includes, may it be your will, Lord my God and God of my fathers, that I shall transgress no more, nor repeat my wrongdoing, that I shall never again anger you, nor do what is wrong in your eyes. In your abounding mercies, erase my iniquities, but not through suffering or severe illness. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. So that is something that we say to God, like, please let me, help me that I'm able to not do any more wrongdoings. Any questions so far? Comments? I never said it was easy. It's something we all strive, and we do little bits by bits. We're all on a journey. So no one's going to be 100%. That's not what the journey is for. And it's something that if we can even improve half a percentage point, we're doing really good. Right? Any questions or comments before we move on?
I have a question.
Please.
So, is there anything you can say that will kind of like months before somebody had that trip today? If you have a bad dream, you say how long till shalom, you should only be for good.
So I think you missed this part, but that's okay. We just talk in general. We don't attribute anything to dreams in general. I will say this. There is an interesting, for those who come do Birchat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim that we do on the holidays, I can pull out the siddur. It's interesting. There is when the Kohanim, when the priests are blessing us, the last three words of that blessing, you'll see that there's a prayer that we say while they're finishing that prayer. And part of it talks about dreams. So it's just an interesting thing to have there that if it's, yes. Like I said, this is not the point of the class. I highly recommend reading the appendix because it's interesting. But in general, dreams are what we thought about or what is in our sight. It just is. I mean, you can attribute that all the time, and we should not attribute what happens in our dreams to real life. They're just that. I mean, I know anybody ever watched Inside Out? Okay. Who said yes? Okay. It is an adorable movie. It's called Inside Out, and they actually made a number two about it. It's a children's movie, but I say it's amazing. And what it does is it's the inside of it starts from birth of a little girl who's born and the emotions that are in her body. So first she starts off with happiness and sadness. She's fed, she's happy, she's hungry, she cries. And as she gets older, more emotions are coming into her body. It's so good because it teaches the human emotions so well. It explains it very, very well. And then in number two, it brings in anxiety because she's hitting puberty. It's very, very interesting. But what they have there is that when nighttime comes, they have this whole, what is it called? Like they have it's like they have this whole movie theater and they load up all the stuff she's thought about into the, right? Am I saying it right? They like load up all her memories and all the stuff she was embarrassed about in school. And some of them are like the clown that she was afraid of when she was 3 and her mom took her somewhere. And they load it up into her dreams. And it really ties into, it's called Inside Out. It's on Netflix. It's on, no, but it's on Amazon Prime or anywhere. But it explains the human psyche so well in a very clear way. And so it literally shows the things that she was afraid about. This 9-year-old girl, when she was a little girl, there was a clown that scared her. So in her dream, it's a big, scary clown. Or her friends embarrassed her during soccer. So she's going to dream about, being in soccer and she doesn't have her stuff. Generally, what we think about is what we dream about. What we are afraid, we'll dream about it in our dreams that it happened, et cetera, et cetera. And it's really best not to attribute these things to reality. But that was our tangent. Back to where we were. All right, so we just did text number 9, right? Yeah. All right, and then we get to text number 10, which I think all of you are very familiar with. And that is and I'm going to send that home with you today. It's very familiar. And let's go to text number 10. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Right? And what does it say? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Blessed be the name of the glory of his kingdom forever and ever. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you today shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them thoroughly to your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house and when you walk on the road, when you lie down and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for a reminder between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Okay, this is the Shema that I think all of us are the most familiar with. And what is that? We're meditating on God's greatness. We're meditating on our love for him. We're preparing for our soul's reunification with its source. We're telling ourselves, let's go and invite God in. And some of us, was it Lynn or someone near her who said, well, what if I can't stop thinking at night? Anybody? Ever just lay in bed and the thoughts are chugga, right? Okay, some of us have a very hard time. We have a very hard time letting go of control. We have a very hard time surrendering. Right? We're thinking. And so we get into bed and guess what happens? Play. And then all the stuff just starts going and going and going and going. And we're thinking and we're thinking and we're thinking, right? So turn to text number 11. And here is a beautiful thing that we say every night before we go to sleep. I entrust my spirit into your hands. You will redeem me, Lord God of truth. I surrender. I surrender to you, Hashem, which again is something that is an exercise to be worked on. I surrender to you. I'm going to let my soul soar. I'm going to let go. And here's where we express our faith and our trust in God. Because here we say, you know what? There's a lot that I feel like I want to control, right? We all want to be in control, but we realize how little we can control. And so this is where we just say, I'm letting it go. I'm putting it down. And so imagine your brain like a computer with tabs, right? Anybody ever think of their brain like that? So how many tabs are going right now? That's just like, oh, I've got a lot of tabs, and then my tabs have tabs inside them, each kid's got a tab, and then this one needs this, the foot doctor and the ENT, and then they got to do the Hanukkah thing, and this, right? The tabs, they're going, right? Our tabs are very open and very ongoing. I think, especially as women. Oh, then I think you can just turn it off and they're good, but not us. And so sleep teaches us that we have to empty and we have to clear and just let those tabs go, or at least shut them down for the day. Yes, thank you. Let go, let God. Because while our physical body is sleeping, what is it doing? It's releasing toxins, it's recharging and all of that. Our dreams are now letting go of thoughts and fears, right? That's what dreams are doing. It's kind of processing the things that we thought about and the things that we were worried about. That's what our dreams are doing. They're taking all the stuff that was on the cooking and they're just helping us process. And while we're sleeping, that gets released. And so when we let go of our grudges and we let go of our mistakes and our negative feelings of guilt or anger or ego or whatever it is, that's when we rest and we repair. Think about it. When you plug in your phone, what's your phone doing at night? When you plug it in, it's recharging, but also it's downloading the next software update, whatever it is. It's backing things up. It's doing all of that stuff while it's quietly sitting in the corner. It's doing all of that stuff. And so I think, especially in today's world, we spend so much of our time in go, go, go mode. I think it's the way the world that we live in, because everything's at our fingertips. And so, you're driving and you can learn Spanish, and you're folding laundry and you could be listening to a podcast. Like, we never just really, we have the opportunity to never turn ourselves off. We should be turning ourselves off, but we always have the opportunity to play something in the background or to talk, put your to rest, to just put that down. Because, and even today in modern psychology, it's very big and very important, where we have this concept where we have to, they say touch grass, like touch, ground yourself, go out on the beach and put your feet in the grass, go to the park, put your feet in the ground, go to your backyard, put your feet down. We have to just pause, just be, mindfulness, where we just are okay sitting in our minds, where we have to learn to do that, which is not always easy. And when we pause, that's when the good stuff happens. Why do all our good ideas come to us in the shower? Or when we're laying in bed right before, you're like, okay, but why is that? Because Shabbos is when you pause. Exactly. And it's like even therapy, right? Therapy is great, but when does the real change happen? Does it happen in your session, or does it happen between the sessions? Between the sessions, because that's when you had time to think and to process and to practice all the skills that you're learning. Go ahead.
I have got the history of the problem. I go to sleep, and the next morning I have to do it.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's exactly it. It's exactly it, because your brain, your body slept and it processed.
I say I have the answer to this problem.
Yeah.
It happens many times.
Okay, so you don't just know it, you feel it in your bones. And, exactly. There you go. Sleep on it. It's much clearer. Never make a decision right away, ever. Always say, wait, I have to have time, because rash decisions usually are things that we regret rashly, right? The things that we make that might make our minds up quickly. And even when we bake challah, what is the most important aspect to our challah that makes it rise? Is our yeast. And what do we do once we add our warm water and our sugar to our yeast? What do? We have to let it sit. We wait. I said we always have these challah bakes, and everyone starts going with them. I'm like, no, don't touch it. Don't touch it, because the yeast, in order for it to bubble, needs quiet. It needs pause. It needs to rest. That is when all the good stuff happens. And so when I say biyata afkid, when I say I surrender, I lay my negative emotions before you, God. I am quiet. I am at rest. And so sleep really strips our ego. And it's when we stop trying to do and we start learning how to be, which again, easier said than done. And that is the most perfect way to enter our sleep state. When I say biyatcha and I lay in my bed and I say, okay, I have a lot of things that are, in my tabs right now. And there's different things that I have to do and thoughts that I feel and emotions that I feel. And I'm saying, you know what? Closing the computer. I'm just putting it down. I'm doing that. I'll wake up tomorrow. It'll still be there. I'll pick it right up. But for now, I surrender. And I am doing that. And that is the way that we enter into our sleep state. And hopefully it'll make your sleep go a lot smoother and more refreshing and pleasant. And so we're going to go to page 12. We're going to do the key points of today's class, and then I have a little gift for you, and we're going to end up our class with a nice meditation. Okay, let's go to page number 12. Key points. Over the course of a day of physical work and struggles, our spiritual soul gets worn out. When we sleep, our soul rises to heaven and seeks to reconnect with its heavenly source and recharge. The spiritual heights to which the soul is able to rise are dictated by the purity of its spiritual state, and this is reflected in the quality of the sleep we experience. If life were one long day without pause, we would never experience the sense of excitement and renewed zeal that accompanies a brand new day. The pause and inactivity of sleep is the marker that makes it clear to us that yesterday is over, and today we must take ourselves to the next level, striving for growth and positive change. The bedtime Shema guides us through a thorough process of preparation for a peaceful and refreshing sleep, free of disturbances and nightmares. It sets us up perfectly for a new day of radical growth to follow. The bedtime Shema begins with forgiving and letting go of grudges over minor offenses and trivial slights we experience over the course of the day. The bedtime Shema process calls on us to make an honest accounting of our actions over the course of the past day, acknowledging our misdeeds and asking God for forgiveness, and committing to leave yesterday's missteps behind and have a better tomorrow. In the bedtime Shema, we also declare our faith in God and our love for Him. Meditating on these themes places us in the proper frame of mind for our soul's nocturnal experience of union with godliness, allowing it to rise freely in the spiritual realm and bask in God's invigorating glory. Any questions or comments? Okay. I have a little gift for you ladies. Okay. I have a nice sleep mask for each of you. I'm going to pass these around. So I hope it helps you on your sleeping journey. I also have a two-sided card. The first side is the Shema prayer, and it is in Hebrew, it's in English, and in transliteration. Transliteration is basically where they say the Hebrew words and they spell it out in English. And on the other side is the Biyatcha prayer, which is the surrender prayer. And you can keep this, I made it in cardstock, so you can keep it near your bed, and you'll have it with you always. And last, but definitely not least, I have a spiritual sleep hygiene, which kind of you can keep it near you, and it just gives you like a little step-by-step of what we talked about: forgive grudges, commit to an improved tomorrow, get in touch with God. And so I'm going to pass these around. And then I want to quickly, I just realized we forgot one thing. If you go to page 11, exercise 1.2, what can I incorporate into my nightly bedtime ritual that will improve the quality of my sleep and set me up for better for a good tomorrow? I would love you to take a minute while I pass these around, fill it out. And then next class, I really would love to hear if you did it and what it did for you. Okay? So I'm going to pass these around. There's different colors, so pick which one you like. You can take and pass. And then Karen, you can take this side. And then I will do the same here. Okay, and then let me open up this thing. Please. I don't think it affects it at all. No, I'm saying I don't think it'll affect how you approach, elaborate your question. But you're saying medications that make you sleepy or don't make you sleepy?
Yeah.
Well, I think, okay, so you can approach sleep from many ways. I think here is if you have a medication that makes you sleepy, so before you take it, do your bedtime ritual. Because then otherwise you're just going to be knocked down and you can't do it at all. Go ahead.
This is nice.
Sefer Yetzira. Here, take and pass. Sefer Yetzira. Yetzira. It's written a tribute to being written by Abraham. I've heard also Rabbi Akiva was with it as well. It's a very interesting thing. Okay, and then once everyone has their sleep masks, and then just send the leftovers back down this way if you don't mind. I wanted to end off our class with a meditation. You can put your sleep mask on so you're really in that relaxing mood. And we're going to end off our class with a meditation. So let me know when everyone's ready and you have. Okay. All right, send the leftovers, the extras back this way. Mila got one? Okay, so pass that one to Mila. All right, so everyone, make sure you have three things: the sleep mask, the Shema card, and the sleep hygiene card. Okay, and then if you don't mind, just Sherry, just keep passing it till it gets my way. One of my daughters like, Mommy, if you have extras, can you bring it home for me? So I said, okay, if there's extra, I'll bring it home for you. Sorry? So in generally, what I'm going to do is these little gifts. I think it's going to be if you're in person, because otherwise it's I'm remembering to save things. It's getting very over. I remember like last year, it got very overwhelming for me to remember to save things. So I think that's how we're going to do it. My pleasure. All right. So ladies, shall we do a quick meditation? All right. So if you would like, feel free to put on your sleep mask. I know some people are into meditation. Some have a harder time with it. Len, just flip it. Yeah. So if this resonates with you, I'm thrilled. If it doesn't, we all have our own ways of connecting to ourselves. Okay. You might have to take off the hats. As long as your eyes feel soft and cozy, you're good to go. All right. I mean, I printed a lot, so you can send that back up here. And take a card for Leslie and Michelle also. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready, ladies? All right. So if you have your mask on, yay. If you don't, feel free to close your eyes or not, whatever you'd like. Imagine yourself placing that hurts. Oh, wait, wrong way. Okay. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath lengthen. Allow your body to arrive in this moment. Feel your feet resting gently on the ground, steady, supported. Let yourself settle. You've arrived. Take a moment to think about all that you've done this week, all the things that fill your days, the lists, the messages, the meals, the gestures of care. And now gently ask yourself, why have you been doing all these things? Where is the why beneath your how? Imagine your mind as a computer screen, so many tabs open, conversations, worries, projects, hopes. So now begin to close them one by one. Click, close, click, close. With every gentle breath, another tab closes until that all that remains is the soft swirl of your screensaver, the stillness of your soul. Sleep is God's gentle whisper that growth happens not only in action, but in rest. In the pause between one breath and the next, in the quiet of winter soil where new life takes root unseen. Before the soul begins its nightly journey, it longs to travel light. What are you still carrying tonight? Is there someone who hurt you? Someone you haven't yet forgiven? Feel that heaviness. Notice where it sits in your body. And now, with a deep exhale, release it. Imagine yourself placing that hurt in a small glowing box. Close the lid. Place it gently on a high shelf. You don't need to carry it into the night. Now, forgive yourself too, for what you didn't finish, for moments you lost patience, for being human. Let yourself rest. Bring your attention back to your breath. Inhale peace, exhale control. Say quietly in your heart, Biyatcha Afkid Ruchi. Into your hands I place my spirit. Let that surrender feel soft, not frightening. You are being held. You are safe. You can stop doing and begin being. Let your soul drift upward, light and unburdened. Mind quiet, your heart settle. In this stillness, there is trust. In this quiet, there is renewal. In this pause, you are growing. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, you will be new. Yesterday's mistakes will not define you. Yesterday's successes will not confine you. Each morning is a beginning, each breath a chance to lift your life higher. Take a deep, renewing breath in and slowly exhale. Feel peace washing over you. Feel gratitude filling your heart. You are exactly where you need to be. You can rest, you can trust, you can grow. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
I can put anybody, should I put this on the group? Oh, you can grow. You can grow. Any questions, comments, insights? We always love to talk and share. Go ahead. So okay. Well, okay. So ladies, you were all added to the WhatsApp group, right? Everybody saw it. Go into your phone. It's called I added you yesterday. I should have, yeah. You're added to it's called you can search it in your WhatsApp, RCS Lift Your Life. You were all added to the group. As I got your submissions, I updated it and added you. So if those of you I added yesterday, you might not see anything on there. Oh, you have a weird, I can't add you. I have to add you from a weird place. I don't know. Sometimes your WhatsApp gets lost. I have to add you like from a different way. Um, no, to Vivian. Um, okay, because I was cleaning it up. I'm gonna do it soon. Yeah, for some reason I couldn't add you from my computer. Right? It says like this person doesn't have WhatsApp, which I know is not true. Um, so you all are on the WhatsApp group. That group is to be used. I'm gonna put reminders. I'm gonna put the meditation. I'll probably put the YouTube link to that video that didn't work. So you can watch it on your own time. And it's also a place, ladies, if you had a breakthrough and you said my sleep was the best I've had, we all want to hear it. If you have tips, if you have questions, if you have comments, that's what this is for. We're a community. We want to all talk to each other. We want to grow together. We want to learn together. So that's what the WhatsApp thing is for. I'm going to hit the stop recording. Thank you so much for joining for those who are listening after.